Now at 6, a commercial fishing boat sinks off the Oregon coast.
We got there was basically nothing to salvage.
How the 2 people on board survived. Plus,
it's devastating.
More on this massive landslide that damaged 2 homes and shut down an Oregon highway. And if you have to drive on one of Portland's gravel streets, it could soon be looking a lot better than later.
You know, you can't doubt your opponents. You shouldn't doubt anybody. You know, they're a good team.
The Ducks look ahead to the first college football playoff game ever played at Autzen Stadium. Thanks for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Christine Pitawanich. The Coast Guard is responsible for saving 2 fishermen near Newport this weekend, the same area where drama has played out over the location of a Coast Guard rescue helicopter. Our Celine Stevens is here now with more on this story. Celine.
Christine, so we don't know yet why that vessel sunk. Luckily, those men made it out alive, but the Coast Guard told me by the time they got there, the boat was taking on water fast and was almost completely submerged.
Got there was basically nothing to salvage.
Just before 10 Sunday morning, the Coast Guard got a call from the captain of Valor 3, a commercial fishing vessel, saying his boat was taking on water.
And it was a little muffled, so initially, first time that our watchmander is going to hear that, he hits the search and rescue alarm. That kind of gets everybody going, and that's exactly what he did.
According to the Coast Guard's Sierra Schlager, 2 of their motor lifeboat crews went out about 3 miles offshore, west of Newport. Schlager says when she arrived, there wasn't much of the vessel still above water, and both men on board were in the water.
There was a lot of debris in the water, so coolers, buoys, stuff like that. Tried to find the people in the water. Our vessel saw the other person floating, so drove up and got him.
She says both men were wearing immersion suits, which are required in commercial vessels, meant to be worn in the case of an emergency to help them stay warm and float, but the chilly water still took its toll.
They had, blue lips. They were wearing a t-shirt and pants underneath there, so the water is roughly between 45 and 50 degrees. So anytime that anybody's, submersed in that temperature of water, it's definitely hypothermia is going to onset pretty quick.
Luckily, overall, the men were okay, something Tonette Dixon with the nonprofit Fishermen's Wives says isn't always the case.
This was in good weather conditions. There were lots of boats around. For having a sinking, this was kind of the best case scenario.
She says situations like this show the need for the Coast Guard's rescue helicopter, which has been the center of controversy after it was quietly moved out of Newport to North Bend in October, although it has since been returned amid ongoing litigation.
Right now, especially since we are currently fighting for our rescue helicopter, this shows the peril that happens this time of year, especially with the commercial Dungeness fishing season.
So Dixon told me that one of those immersion suits on that vessel was actually replaced by Fishermen's Wives through a program they did this summer. The Coast Guard says to always make sure your boat is in good condition and you have your safety equipment, and to reach out to them if anything ever happens on the water. Christine?
Yeah, glad the 2 men are okay. Thank you, Celine. Speaking of Dungeness crab season, the commercial harvesting season from Cape Falcon near Manzanita in Oregon all the way south to the California border officially begins tomorrow. The fleet was allowed to set baited crab pots in the water on Saturday, but none of those pots can surface until tomorrow. ODFW says even though the season was delayed a bit this year, the coveted crab will be available for anyone wanting it for their holiday dinner. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joining us now. Joe, I hear we've got some weather impact alerts this week.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at some, heavy rain, a lot of wind, and a lot of mountain snow, something we really haven't talked about in weeks. I think the last time we saw a storm that produced more than a foot of snow was back in late October. So I'll get to that in a little bit, but I want to talk about tomorrow because tomorrow's going to be mild and mainly dry. A chance for some light morning showers, but this time tomorrow and into the early morning hours on Wednesday, it's going to be absolutely wet and very windy as well. So we are going to be issuing a weather impact alert for late Tuesday and really into Friday. The strong winds and rain will be moving in again tomorrow night and into Wednesday morning. Gusts anywhere from 30 to maybe 40 miles an hour. The risk of flooding is going to be there the next couple of days days, especially by the middle part of the week and into Thursday. Heavy mountain snow with the snow levels dropping by Wednesday down to 3,000 feet. And obviously be prepared. Don't drive through any flooded waters. And their flood watch will be taking effect basically late Wednesday night and into early Saturday morning. There's a chance that could get extended. We're also going to be looking at some very snowy conditions throughout the Washington and Oregon Cascades. So today's rainfall amounts over 1/2 inch of rain, and that's been our weather story basically the last week or so is the heavy rain, and it's going to continue the next couple of days as well. I'm forecasting anywhere from 2 to maybe 3 inches of snow, or rather rain, from tomorrow night and into Friday. So as we put Futurecast into motion, you're going to be dry pretty much all day tomorrow until the afternoon and evening hours. When that rain kicks in, it is going to be absolutely wet for several hours. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
Thanks for keeping an eye on all of it. Thank you, Joe. Right now, a flash flood warning is in effect in King County, Washington, as a levee on the Green River failed near Tukwila. The National Weather Service says 46,000 people could be impacted. Places like Kent, Renton, and suburbs south of Seattle all could experience flash flooding as a result of the dam breaking. People in the area are under a level 3 go now evacuation notice. Meanwhile, a flood watch is now in effect for 12 counties and major cities like Seattle, Tacoma, and Olympia. The National Weather Service warns with the continued wind and rain, the disaster across the area could get worse over the next day or two.
With the winds brings additional danger. We have some gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour across King County and the greater region over the next 24 to 48 hours. That does not sound like a lot for us here in the Pacific Northwest. We deal with that all the time, but our soils are not normally this saturated. We have a very high risk of trees coming down onto vehicles, onto houses across the region. So this is just, again, I really want to stress, this is one relatively small event in the greater disaster that is unfolding across the Pacific Northwest.
So far, no one has been hurt as a result of the levee break, and a temporary repair is in place. The Washington National Guard is sending members to King County to help out. And Clackamas Fire's Swiftwater Rescue Team is on the front lines in Skagit County, Washington, helping communities there hit hard by historic flooding. We spoke with the department today about how their effort is going.
They're just shocked by the widespread damage and the volume of water and just the devastation that's up there, blown away. And our guys have seen a lot of this kind of stuff. This is really on a different scale.
Yeah, that's saying something. The team will be deployed for at least 7 days. Thousands of people are in the path of these devastating floodwaters and need help now. That is why we're activating our Northwest response. You can donate by scanning the QR code on your screen. Your donation goes directly to the American Red Cross to help those affected. You can also visit U.S. bank branches in Washington and Oregon to make a donation in person. The link to donate is also on our website, kgw.com. And we continue to follow that major landslide that wiped out part of a highway and homes near the Oregon coast late last week. We're talking about Highway 229 in the Coast Range near Siletz. If you're not quite familiar with that area, here's a map to help you find your bearings a bit. The landslide damaged 2 homes. Another 10 were evacuated. And there's concern now that the incoming weather could make conditions worse. Devin Haskins is in Lincoln County tonight with the latest from ODOT and those who live and work in that area.
ODOT is still treating this landslide as very active, saying engineers have not been able to get inside because it's just not safe. A geologist I talked with said that with all the rain coming in and all the rain last week, more landslides are still a concern.
A massive landslide along Highway 229 between Kernville and Siletz. Trees, mud, and debris wiping out the highway and damaging 2 homes.
It's devastating.
Todd Fulfer runs the Chinook Bend RV Resort a few miles down the road and says some of the devastation has floated by him on the Siletz River.
We've been seeing refrigerators, trusses, trees, and all that coming down the river. Luckily, they've missed all of our docks.
And this viewer video from down the river, closer to the mouth of the ocean, shows what appears to be a wall floating.
I mean, it could have been very well easily as happening here. I mean, with the mountain right here, and it hits home pretty hard. I mean, we're a real close community.
And with more rain coming, the possibility of more landslides is a real concern.
If this rain continues, it will. I mean, there's so many steep slopes down there, so there may be other ones.
Scott Burns is a geology professor at Portland State University. He says the hillside has weak soil and is very steep.
Anytime we have an atmospheric river coming to the Pacific Northwest, and we seem to be getting more and more and more of them, we know that there's going to be huge amounts of water that's going to be put onto the slopes, and the steeper the slopes, they are going to be more prone to landslides.
ODOT says the landslide is still active and the ground unstable, and they aren't sure if the road underneath is still intact. A small section of the highway is completely shut off, and for Todd Fulfer, who lives on one side and his daughter attends school on the other, the only way around, an hour and a half both ways.
Well, we got to get up extra early because it's now an hour and a half to get her to school, an hour and a half to get back. So it's 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening to pick her up.
That man says he's going to transfer his daughter to another school, one that's closer, because again, ODOT does not know when this road will reopen. In Lincoln County, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
In tonight's headlines, a grand jury indicts a 19-year-old Wilsonville man who deputies shot after they say he ran toward them with an axe. Gabriel Evans faces several felonies related to the December 5th incident that happened in unincorporated Clackamas County. The grand jury also determined the 2 deputies who shot Evans were justified in using deadly force. He's still hospitalized tonight and will be taken to jail when he is discharged. This week, Multnomah County commissioners will consider allocating $250,000 for legal and human services after declaring a state of emergency because of ICE activity. The county joins the cities of Salem, Hillsborough, Woodburn, as well as Washington County, which have all taken similar action. The declaration gives Multnomah County more flexibility to, among other things, request help from the state and connect people with local resources.
Because I know we are collectively in a protective mode. It's understandable that we feel this way, and during these times we need to focus on strengthening this precious safety net.
Commissioner Singleton and County Chair Jessica Vega-Peterson also plan to introduce a resolution to bolster the county's sanctuary status Thursday morning. Today was the day that lawmakers in Oregon and Washington expected an updated cost estimate for a new I-5 bridge across the Columbia River. But the Interstate Bridge Replacement Team came to the meeting without those numbers, saying they're still waiting on the U.S. Coast Guard to sign off on the bridge design. What was once an estimated $6 billion bill 3 years ago is expected to be much higher. We'll bring you highlights from today's presentation. That's ahead on the news at 6:30.